Sweet like Sally. Charlie's brown sister, Sally, has a very sweet side. She's sweetest to Linus, her sweet baboo, but she is also helpful, kind, and forgiving, especially to herself. What else is sweet about Sally? Well, Sally lends a helping hand even if no one asks her to. With Snoopy imagined he's in the Foreign Legion, he pretends to crawl around the desert in search of water. The sun beats down, buzzards circle overhead. It all seemed hopeless until Sally appears holding his water dish. "You looked kind of thirsty," she says, interrupting his daydream. "What's the fun in that?" Snoopy pouts, but he drinks some water anyway. Sally was only trying to help. Sally is polite to her big brother, Charlie Brown, but not always for the right reasons. "Dear brother, will you please read this book to me?" she asks in her sweetest voice. "It's for my book report." "Sorry, Sally, you have to read it to yourself," Charlie Brown says. Sally frowns. What's the point of asking nicely if your brother won't do your homework? Sally is generous with compliments, even if it means talking to a brick wall. "You're a good school, you know that?" she says to the school building one day, "and you have very cute steps." No one has ever said that to the school before, so it starts to blush. Sally is also really good at looking on the bright side. "What's 2 times 2?" Charlie Brown asks, quizzing her for a math test. 10,000,000, Sally guesses, but when her brother tells her it's the wrong answer, she still congratulates herself. "I'm getting closer, she says proudly. Being sweet to herself is one of Sally's many life philosophies. She only chooses ones that work in her favor. "I've developed a new philosophy, big brother," she tells Charlie Brown. "It's what I do care. What do I care?" "Well, I'm very happy for you," Charlie Brown says. "What do I care?" Sally shrugs. When it's time for show and tell at school, Sally isn't shy. She brings her favorite person and the sweetest kid she knows next to Linus, herself. When Sally wants something, she goes for it. "I'm too busy to talk," Sally says when one of Charlie Brown's friends calls. "My brother isn't here, so I'm moving into his room." It might not seem very sweet that Sally tries to take her brother's room every time he leaves town, but that's when her "what do I care" philosophy comes handy. Sally is a tough cookie, but she has a softer side. She wears her heart on her sleeve, and her heart belongs to Linus, whether he likes it or not. It all started when Sally was a baby. She crawled up to Linus and fell in love at first sight. Being a sweet baby, she did the only thing she could do. She gave Linus a kiss, but he wasn't happy about it. Sally refused to give up. As she grew, so did her love for Linus. When they played hide and seek together, Sally followed her heart instead of the rules. She didn't hide at all. Linus finished counting to 10, opened his eyes, and saw Sally still standing there. "You're supposed to be hiding," Linus said. "I'd like to listen to you count, sweet baboo," Sally said. "I'm not your sweet baboo," Linus said, and rolled his eyes. Sally would have given anything for Linus to call her his sweet babooess. When Sally saw a football game on TV, she decided she had to play football with Linus. It looked like such a sweet game. "I'll kick the ball to you," she said to Linus. "You run down the field and I'll try to hug you." "Tackle," Linus said, football players tackle each other. But Sally didn't want to tackle Linus. Hug, she said. Tackle, he corrected her. Hug, she insisted. Forget it, Linus said, walking away. Stupid game, Sally shouted and kicked the football out of sight. To Sally's surprise, football wasn't sweet at all. Even so, Sally was still sweet on her sweet baboo until one February morning. Sally, get up. It's time to go to school, Charlie Brown said. But she wouldn't get out of bed. Linus didn't send me a Valentine's Day card, she cried. He broke my heart and I'm never going to school again. If you see my sweet and sour baboo, make sure he knows how mad I am. Sweet and sour, baboo? Good grief, said Charlie Brown. A few days later, Linus got stuck in the snow and couldn't get to the bus stop. In that moment, Sally forgot that he hadn't given her a valentine or called her his sweet babouette or hugged her. Linus was, and always would be, her one and only sweet baboo. She would always be his sweet babouette. Sally sprung into action. I don't care how much it costs, she told Snoopy and Woodstock. Bring him back. Sally's plan worked. Snoopy and Woodstock brought Linus home safely. And finally, Sally got what she wanted. A valentine from Linus. Here, Linus said the next day, handing it to her. Sally stared blankly at him. He'd never been so sweet to her before. Wah! She suddenly sobbed, startling him. Excuse me, she added in her most polite voice. A tear came to my eye. Being sweet and courageous and determined and devoted and smart finally paid off. Why? Because this time Sally's sweetness really came from the heart.